Dedicated his life to helping others learn from his own mistakes and failures, learning valuable lessons about perseverance, determination, and the power of mindset. He has become an advocate for living a life free of regret and shame. You will leave here motivated, inspired, and with a plan to get started living a life free of regret. Here is Shane.
We're doing this is to be without regret. Now, how do you do that? Because mistakes are inevitable. And I'm not saying let's not be careless and not help others out and let's keep making the same mistakes, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the inevitable of living with regret. It has been the research that I've done, 90% of the people around the world, not just the US, are living with regret that causes them to live a life that they don't want. 74% have a life of regret that they live with for all of their life and causes mistakes and downturn and just a dismal life with relationships, with jobs, with everything. And then it also eventually turns into suicide. We have a suicide rate amongst our military that averages 22 deaths a day. That's more than all of the wars combined. We have an average of 67 deaths a day just worldwide on a regular basis. That's about 2.5 per hour. And that deals with regret. We can't get rid of mistakes, but we can stop dealing with regret. Now, I have somebody from law enforcement here, or used to be with law enforcement, and here's the one thing that I learned that in my light bulb moment of being almost homeless and dealing with all the failures and regrets that I've had. There's no law on regret. There's nothing to say that if I have this much failure that I have to have this much regret. There's nothing to say that if I do this big mistake, including, God forbid, if you have a car accident and you kill somebody, that I have to have 6 months of regret, a year of regret, a lifetime of regret. That ultimately leads into depression, isolation, failure, and eventually death. In some cases, in a lot of cases. And as we just found out, we have some people that deal with the regret that goes from the failure, that isolates themselves right in the same house, and they kill themselves and nobody ever knows about it. You got to go in through a window and you got to find out because somebody was regretting something that happened before. So here in my light bulb moment, when I was talking about time before, is it that you can have all the mistakes in the world. You probably made some mistakes today. But the thing is it that with the regret, and the thing that I found out is, one, I'm the only one that I have to live, that I have to wake up with myself. I know we're not supposed to talk about God, so forgive me 1 second, because I was forgiven, and I had to realize that I was forgiven. And I had to forgive myself for all the time, because, see, I grew up on a welfare system a long time ago. And it wasn't the welfare system that you all know today, where you can go online and you can apply for everything, because every 30 days you had to re-up. Which means as an elementary kid, I had to get on the bus at 4 o'clock in the morning with my mom. I had to go down to the office before welfare opened up and get this little card for a number, because if we didn't get that number, we didn't get welfare that day. Then to take on top of that and be happy that we had welfare that day, hop on a bus with a big old thing of peanut butter on this side and a big old block of cheese on the other side, and let everybody know that we were on welfare. Then go to school, and you had, in order to get free lunch, you had to carry this card that I swear was this big. To be in elementary school, to have a card this big, it was half the size of us. And to let everybody know that we were the poor kids. And the only cool thing about that was to see somebody else with the same green card to let you know that you weren't the only one. So when I was growing up, my mom was sick all the time, was in the hospital like year in and year out for the rest of my life until just before I turned 17, and she passed away. And at this time, all I could think about is, one, is I'm glad she's gone because I don't want her to suffer no more. But two, I don't ever want to live that life again. And it was an opportunity at that time to change my life, go live with my aunt, stay with her for a year, but she had 2 kids of her own, and I was going to make the opportunity, and I wasn't going to be like the rest of my family. I'm not going to be broke, I'm not going to be poor, and I'm also going to do something that the rest of my family hasn't done. I'm going to be very successful. I'm going to be that one that you heard about, the one in the family that changes the rest of the family's generations, their generational wealth, and all that stuff. I'm going to make it. So I didn't have an exact plan. So I went into the military, I went into the Navy, because in the Navy I could travel. So that was my first like on a bucket list type of thing, to do something successful that the rest of my family did not do. Second was, I was going to be the first one in college in my family, because now I got the GI Bill. And that plan seemed so awesome. And at my 10-year mark, just playing around, I wound up getting a record deal right here in Orlando. And I was like, oh, I'm on a path. I'm going to do everything that I said I was going to do. But the thing was, there's a lot that I didn't know, and a lot of mistakes that I made. And it was failure after failure after failure. Well, that kind of stinks when you got to turn around every single time and tell your family that you failed again, and tell your friends that you failed again. And there's a saying that the poor have no friends. So failure after failure became poverty, and then the isolation, and then the regret. But here's the thing that I want to leave you all with. Because after feeling like I didn't want to live anymore, I had the light bulb moment to say, you know what? There's a saying, hand it over, and I handed it over. And then people thought that I didn't care anymore. And I was like, no, it's not that I don't care. I don't have to worry about this no more. I don't have to have the regret. I'm forgiven. I'm already done. I'm moving on. If I got to live with 6 months or I got to live with 1 minute, I'm going to live with the 1 minute. And then I'm going to move on. Because I will tell you this from experience. After every little bit of regret and mistake that you have, I promise you, right after that, there's probably an opportunity. And you probably won't take it because you're fearing the regret. And you don't have to. I love you all. Thank you.